Spy Kids. I like how out of all the possible scenes they could have chosen for the thumbnail of Spy Kids, Netflix decided this was the one. Haha. Thumbnail. Jokes. Oh. My wife's so cute because we both love animals so much, but her way is very pure and genuine, whereas my family is me holding up my cat. Stinky. Wife. No. Don't be mean. Me swaying him back and forth in the air. Stinky bastard man. Wife. No. My mother not looking up from chopping Vegas. Naughty boy. Brat cat. Wife. Distraught. No. In case anyone doubted the validity of my claims. Mom. Punished for swiping at my feet while I'm trying to clean my room crimes. I have no sympathy for this prisoner. Waifu. Punished for swiping at my feet while I'm trying to clean my room crimes. No baby boy. Siblingless writers. Hey C's. Hey little bro. I'm right, and I should say it. Wait. How are peoples with siblings greeting each other then? Hey. Hey. Greetings, prostitute. Fortnite dances. Till that the first moon landing, the Manson murders, and the Woodstock Festival all happened within the time span of just 1 month, the summer of '69. Although songs talking about how wild the summer of '69 was were right. Other events of that same summer. Stonewall. Brian Jones of the Rolling Stones drowned. The Zodiac Killer. Honduras and El Salvador go to war over a soccer game, among other things. Soviet Union and China almost went to war. 1969 was a hell of a year. We as a society saw that number on the calendar and just went apeshit. I promise, I won't get too crazy tonight. 3 drinks later. Man in homemade tank destroys small town. Helpless police have no way to. Okay, but Marvin Hemia didn't destroy his town. He specifically targeted buildings owned by corrupt politicians in his hometown, who over the course of nearly a decade, made it impossible for him to operate his muffler shop. Through a zoning dispute and some shady deals, the town trustees had placed a concrete plant directly in the plot of land he used to access his muffler shop, and then fined him for having junk cars on the property and not being hooked up to the sewer line on June 4, 2004. Hemia drove his armored bulldozer through the wall of his former business, the concrete plant. The town hall, the office of the local newspaper that editorialized against him, the home of a former judge's widow, and a hardware store owned by another man Hemia named in a lawsuit, as well as a few others. Owners of all of the buildings that were damaged had some connection to Hemia's disputes. Marvin didn't hurt anyone in his rampage. Witnesses recount how he went out of his way to make sure that no one was hurt. The only casualty was after he took his own life with a single gunshot after his bulldozer came to a halt. His story is a story of protest and revenge against a corrupt system that took advantage of him, prevented him from running his business, and wore him down until the bitter end. Marvin Hemia is a fucking hero. Okay, so I was reading this news story. Man survives weeks in remote Alaska wilderness after cabin burns down, writes SOS in snow. A man managed to survive more than 3 weeks in the rugged Alaskan wilderness after his remote cabin burned down, until he was rescued last week by state troopers who spotted an SOS signal stamped in the snow. So far so normal, right? But then, Steele's shoulder-length hair, chestnut brown near the roots fading to golden blonde near its frayed tips, hung matted and dreadlocks like over his neck. His auburn beard flowed untrimmed to his chest. Alaska State Trooper Ken Marsh wrote in a recap of the rescue. Like what? And then. His clothes smelled of smoke, and his hands were calloused, rough, and ash-stained. Like, I think Alaska State Trooper Ken Marsh wants to be a romance novelist. Oh, I love your name. Thanks, I picked it out myself. Is an A+ trans joke. Me, making fun of CI's people. Nice name. Did your mom pick it out for you? Harry Potter series. Spells are very specific, with very specific pronunciations, enunciations, and wand movements. Fantastic beasts. Point and shoot. Just point and shoot, man. This is America. We cast spells and ask questions later. Yeehaw. Wingardium Leviosa Potter, you were named so that every time a teacher yells at you, they are going to make stuff fly around the room. Your mother wanted to call you Fred, but I thought this would be more true to his memory. Okay, this one is legit hilarious. If you hear weird noises in the night, simply make weirder noises to assert dominance. Me in real life. The monster in my closet. Raswaswagra. Me. The monster. Okay, Jesus, I'm sorry. Romeo. I dreamt a dream tonight. Mercutio. And so did I. Romeo. Well, what was yours? Mercutio. That dream is often lie. Romeo and Juliet. 1.4. William Shakespeare. Romeo. I had this intense as F dream last night, bro. Mercutio. Oh, so did I. Romeo. What did you dream, dude? Mercutio. That are full of sh. What the hell is with this horse? What? Why? What the F is going on, horse? I love you. My German isn't perfect yet, but I think this means they are not taking us entirely seriously. The Dutch don't take the English very seriously either. Sorry guys. I'm not saying there is a common theme here, but I just want to add that the Spanish one specifically states that Brexit is like a Monty Python sketch, but less funny. I learned that there was an early 1900s act named Sober Sue, whose draw was She Never Smiled. A theater offered $1,000 to anyone who could make her laugh, attracting big comedians. Crowds came out to watch them try and fail, giving them a free show. Later it came out that Sue suffered from facial paralysis. Finest. No one looks dumber than a guy who calls a girl ugly after he was just hitting on her. A guy who calls a girl a whore for not sleeping with him is a strong contender. They're the same guy. Apparently, wombats in fire-affected areas are not only allowing other animals to take shelter in their deep fire-resistant burrows, but are actively herding fleeing animals into them. We are seeing more leadership and empathy from these guys than the entire federal government. They're huge. That's a fucking wombat. I thought wombats were small. That looks photoshopped. That's Patrick. A wombat raised since he was a Joey on a wildlife park in Victoria, Aussie. He's known as both the oldest and biggest wombat we know of. Most wombats average around 30 to 40 inches, so Fat Pat is definitely an outlier. For comparison, here's a more regular wombat. Dynamaxed. My aunt used to write horoscopes for the newspaper as a part-time job. She had a friend in college who A. always read that newspaper's horoscope and B. didn't know my aunt wrote it. So, whenever the friend had a shitty episode, my aunt would make her horoscope as positive as possible to cheer her up. Long story short, they recently got married and are both my aunts now. What do you mean long story short? Give me this entire sappy gay romance novel right now. One time in freshman history class the teacher asked if we supported women's suffrage. One kid didn't raise his hand because women shouldn't have to suffer. Imagine being him thinking women's suffrage is women suffering and the entire class raises their hands and just being like, what the F guys? A 54 million year old gecko encased in amber. Is he alright? Yes, but he's encased in amber. Anyone else like knives, but like, not in an edgy way. Like, I'm not trying to be threatening or anything, I just like the unique designs of them, and the cool smithing work that's gone into them. I don't know. I just think they're neat. Can we talk about how in zombie shows, movies, books, they always find a veterinarian, and not a surgeon? Are veterinarians deemed more likely to survive the apocalypse? Yup. One of our professional skills is not being bitten by patients. We actually have a good broad knowledge base for both surgical, medical, and GP things. We are used to improvising equipment because a lot of stuff is just not made for animals. Meat safety is part of our training. Our cars are often full of equipment, especially in mixed practice. We probably weren't in the human hospital at the initial outbreak. Mug cake. 5th attempt. Did it jump out of the cup? Is there really any softer scene than when O'Malley sees Duchess and falls in love with her at first sight in the Aristocats, complimenting her at every turn and climbing into a cherry blossom tree to make the flower petals snow gracefully down on her? How dreamy. This is love. Not to mention, when he found she had kids, he was thrown for a second, then proceeded to not only still help her, but dote on them too. Not all men. You're right. Abraham D. Lassie, Giuseppe Cassie, Thomas O'Malley would never. Based on genital structure, men should really be the ones wearing skirts, and women should be wearing pants. The Scots were right all along. The Scots did it to hide more knives on their bodies. The Scots were right all along. Game show, where you watch an apology video and try to be the first to guess what the person did. YouTuber. I'd like to address the recent contestant 1 bus solicited nudes from minors. YouTuber. Incident that contestant 2 bus said a slur during a stream. YouTuber. Occurred on my trip. Contestant 1 bus went to a foreign country and disrespected a holy place. Host. Correct. Bonus points for guessing before the first ad spot. Early video game designer. Okay, we are just about done with this level. Video game designer's manager. Great. Did you figure out what to put at the end? Designer. Yeah, we put this tough, nasty, mean, ugly monster that the player has to beat. We made sure killing the monster feels as rewarding as possible. Manager. Cool. So what's it called? Designer. The boss. Manager. Manager. Why is it called that? That 23% of the crew aboard Christopher Columbus ship Santa Maria was named Juan. That's nearly a 3 to Juan ratio. You son of a bee. Maybe there's someone in this abandoned clown factory who can help us. This is what companies say every time they try to buy Tumblr. I'm reading this thing about how farmers in Japan considered thunderstorms to be good luck because they'd make more mushrooms grow. So some Japanese scientists created this little electrical machine that they wheeled through the forest, administering shocks to the ground to simulate lightning strikes, and the areas that they shocked yielded twice as many mushrooms as unshocked plots of land. The fact that we reached a point where we can simulate fake storms to make little buddies grow twice as much is like magic, but slightly to the left and just downright delightful. Trans women names are like 22nd century cyberpunk hacker jewel thieves, and trans man names are like drowned Victorian children. Exactly as it should be. If I may add, NB names are often just like nouns. I had a classmate once named Brick, and that is the single most powerful name I've ever heard. I was watching High School Musical yesterday and watched Troy Bolton eat a delicious lunch of just white bread. Cannibalism.